All right, everybody, with us this week, right before the holidays, we're joined by one of our favorite coaches in all of college basketball, the man that we had a comfortable car experience almost a year ago today. And hopefully we'll get to do that again. But it's Coach Skerry over at Towson, and we are so excited to have you back on. We were just joking off the phone. You were the guy that made the hardest schedule in all of college basketball heading into the season, but we love it. We love the competition. We love the play. But, Coach, how's everything going? And happy early Thanksgiving.
Same to you guys. It's good to see you guys. I was thinking about the car last time. I wish the way we played, I wish you guys had buckled me in, put some concrete bricks on the gas pedal, and just push that. What's that? Friday Night Lights or fire water down there in Providence? We should have sent me right into that thing.
It was a competitive game, and I think at least you had Timberlake lighting it up against Bryant at that point. Like, that was unbelievable. I think he still had probably like 20, 25 points against us.
He had a lot of good moments. I'm not sure that was a good moment for any of us. But we have played a hard schedule, which ultimately will be good for us. I always say these, and we did last year too. These non-conference experiences are kind of like fact-finding missions. So, we're still trying to, figure out some things as we get ready for the conference.
And that's a good segue here. I mean, you loaded up this non-conference schedule, as Will said, right? You're looking at Colorado and Houston, who are both ranked. Wake Forest, who's got a really good squad with a really good coach, too. The schedule's hard, but you did that for a reason, and that's to get everybody ramped up. So how's that been for your guys to play that top-tier competition, and how's that been for you?
Yeah, I think ultimately it'll be good for them. I was a little disappointed. So we played North Texas is good now. They won the NIT and very well coached. And they were. I was disappointed. They were readier than us. So yeah, I think it will be good for us. Like I said, we're trying to get ready to go down to Wilmington, Charleston. Ultimately, the goal is to win. But I'm not a big believer in scheduling non-ones. We have one this year. It's the first time in I think 4 or 5 years. I'm just not a big believer in doing that. And the Charleston Classic, to me, I'd play in something like that every year. National TV opportunities against Power 6 opponents. It's what you aspire to. Now that might not be for everyone. I don't judge on that. We're doing what we think is going to help get our guys ready for the CAA.
And, we talked to coaches last year, including yourself, who said, scheduling was just such a cluster. It was so hard to maneuver and all that. Did you find that happen this year, or was it, still an ability to, get the games that you were looking for? And I mean, you obviously found some talented teams to play against, but was it as hard as last year? Do you find that?
Yeah, it's been hard for us. You know what I mean? Like, quite honestly, what we'd love to do is play a lot of Atlantic 10 schools in a home and home. We scrimmage LaSalle because that's what they'll do. St. Joe's, St. Joe's wasn't interested in playing us up in Long Island. They're in the, that's why you get, neither was Rhode Island, so you got to play a team that's actually as good, just not as good a league. Playing South Dakota State. We had to do it last year, right? We had 3 games late. We took a series with UMass, which he's the only one in that league that would play us. I mean, we got other teams right down the road, an hour away in DC, that don't want to do that. And then we get stuck playing at Bryant, who was a terrific team, and we played a neutral game against Northern Iowa. But historically we've had success in our league, and I think those opportunities help you. I prefer not to fly across the country to play some of those games, but like I said, everyone has different philosophies and needs and schedule. We don't buy games, so you go get bought at Colorado. They were better than I had hoped for. There's a reason why they're 18th in the country, but you hope the game speed of that, when you get into those real tough conference games, you guys have some tangible experiences to fall back on.
And I don't want to get you in trouble here, right? That's the last thing we want to do. But I wonder
I don't mind.
Well, I love it. I wonder why that's the case, right? Is it just a scenario of those folks, like those programs want to get bought, right? They want to raise their money, they want to make, and that's sort of what they're prioritizing, or is it that they don't want to lose, right? Like, I guess why do you think they're less inclined to the A10 or something like that to come down your way?
Yeah, I guess everyone's different. We've had teams in the past. I guess if you have the opportunity to buy more games and you get more home games, so I guess if I had those opportunities, I'd probably do it as well. I also think a lot of it is the net. You get more reward for winning by 20 points against a sub 300 team than beating someone that's 150, 175. So the sometimes it's scheduling's hard, right? Game is rigged a little bit, right? We saw that with the NIT, the way they've the NCAA's allowed themselves to control that. So it's hard. Like I said, I don't judge. We just got to try to put a team on the floor that is ready for conference play.
And talking about your team as a whole, I mean, we were mentioning Nick Timberlake against Bryant last year. He unfortunately transferred to Kansas, but is that sort of a testament to your program that you're building, that, if you're creating something here at Towson that is not only, a further step into Power 5 programs, but also just the competitive nature that you have with your squad?
Oh, I hope so. We've had good players that have worked hard and gotten better, and Nick certainly is the kind of the poster child for that. And I want to support our guys, whether they want to go pro, if they have an opportunity where they think it's better for them, and then I want to root like heck for those guys. I feel like the guys that play for you, and I've been asked that a lot on him. I remind everyone he was here for 5 years. He graduated the year before. After 4 years, he was a good student. He was a great player, and he took an opportunity, whether it was to win a national title and/or some NIL versus professional. Good choice. When that guy put himself in a great position to make, a good choice. So for us as a staff, like we want to see him have an unbelievable year and cut down the nets and have a long professional career.
And this is sort of a new look team for you now, right? You've got some core returners, but you hit the portal pretty hard. You hit the recruiting trail pretty hard. I think two guys stand out to me. I look at Christian May, who didn't get a ton of burn last year, but he looks really good now, right? 3-point percentage was really good last year in the time he did have. And then Chase Parr, now that he's totally healthy. How do you envision those guys fitting in this year, and how have they grown from where they were at the end of last season when you guys were playing Charleston in the championship to where they are now?
Well, yeah, Christian's a key guy for us, so we really believe in him and need him to take that next step. Like we've had some other guys, Martin and Morcell and Betran. It's got to be, he's got to play at pretty close or an all conference level. He's going to get those kind of minutes and shots. Now, he's done some good things the first couple games. He's capable of being more consistent. He did play a lot in conference last year, a little over 20 minutes, and he shot a high percentage from three. I believe he'll settle in. And Chase, I'm proud of. He's gotten in shape. He's healthy. He missed the last 25 games. He certainly can help us. He's a high IQ guy coming off the bench, but I'm proud that he's gotten into great shape, and just a guy that's had a lot of injuries. And even now he's playing through a tear in his meniscus. So we appreciate that he's kind of taken on that strain for the good of the group.
You also have a guy like Charles Thompson, who was named All-CA first team. How far can he go this year, and what are you hoping to get out of him?
Yeah, I think honestly, you've touched on two of the three things. Like we feel like, one, Charlie's got to stay healthy and play like a first-team all-league player on both ends of the floor. Statistically or analytically, the last 2 years, he's been our most valuable guy. So he's going to need to do that. And he's got to do it at a higher level, and he's done it through 6 games. I think he's aware of that. He plays hard. He's a great leader, an unbelievable teammate. He's got to perform at an elite level, one. May's got to take that next step. And then for us, our quarterbacking play has to be top 4 or 5 in the conference between Hicks and Williamson. And that remains to be seen. Hicks has missed the last 2 games. He got a concussion 3 minutes into the Wake Forest game. So that's unfortunate. He's a tough kid. He doesn't turn the ball over, and he's elite defensively. So that put a little more pressure on Williamson, who's a redshirt freshman, who's really gifted with the ball. And he's like a lot of young guys figuring out. He had a great game at Colorado. He had 16 points. He didn't shoot it well the other day. He was 3 for 10. But now it becomes, when that doesn't go well, he's got to guard at the level that we need him to. He's got to have that leadership, the ability to unify guys when it's not going well. One of the phrases we'll use with our team a lot is that old saying, boats don't sink because they're on the water. Boats sink because the water gets in. So I'm still trying to help develop and find the guys that when the water gets in the boat, that we can empty the thing so we can kind of keep moving forward.
What was the analogy last year? You had an incredible analogy. I don't know if Will remembers, but we got to add that to the list now too. That was incredible.
It's like Skerryisms. It's
yeah.
My staff that's been here a while and probably players would say we have a few of those. I do like our group. I like them a lot. They work really hard, and they're connected. I think it's like anything. We've got a little bit more Ted Lasso type of guys, which is really good in some other areas. I'm looking for a little bit like our one of our assistants, John Oslander, told me Mike Tomlin told his guys he needs a little bit more whoa versus sick 'em. So I'm trying to find that balance. I like sick 'em guys. That's one of the things I used to tell people I loved about Holden and Timberlake. They were sick 'em guys. Now, sometimes we wanted to sick each other in timeouts. I didn't always love that. So it's a fine line.
That's a really good point. I feel like you had a lot of sick 'em guys last year, and I mean, I'm looking at the results because I knew you guys ended up at the 3 seed and you were playing on championship weekend of the CAA, and yeah, I want to talk about that too. You guys gave Charleston a really good run at the end of the game there, and I think it was you and a lot of other coaches in the CAA were pretty vocal about, hey, they should not be a 12 seed in the tournament. And then you look at their draw and where San Diego State ended up in the national championship game. They hung with them all game, and you have to think that Charleston sort of got the crap end of the stick here. So what in your eyes made them so good last year, and what about your team allowed you to play with them and keep it really close that whole time?
Well, I think, Patty O'Connell did a good job scouting on our staff and prepping us for them. And, we try to pride ourselves on defending, rebounding. So, there's a piece of me that wish I had. We lost 3, 1 or 2 possession games to them. I would have liked to have a couple of those back. People forget we played without our quarterback the whole season, Jason Gibson. So after he got hurt after 3 games, I would have liked to have had him. I think with Charleston, one was their incredible depth and their physicality, and they clearly have an identity. They're going to shoot threes. They're going to play fast. They're going to go to the glass. And then, they had an incredible good fortune in that they played 10 guys double-figure minutes, and only 1 guy missed 1 game the whole year. That's a big piece of this. But I thought they absolutely didn't get the proper seed. I mean, makes you wonder, why wouldn't have people wanted them to play, if Arkansas was a 4 seed and have San Diego State play, I don't know, it was Pitt, who was like, what I mean? Like, it makes you wonder when they do those things. There's a lot of things in college sports, college basketball, from a leadership perspective that to me are decision-making perspective that question whether those decisions match the mission statement that's put out of that organization.
Right. And, with this team that you have as well, I mean, you brought in some transfers like Messiah Jones from Wofford. You also stole a guy from Bryant, Tumawa Suleiman. Thanks for that, I guess. But, adding, guys like that to the program, what are the strengths that you have in this squad now, and what are things that you hope to improve on as the season gets along?
Yeah, one, I think ultimately ball security is going to define us. And we were able to outscore Houston by a handful of points in the second half because we took care of the ball. We were able to be tied with Wake Forest with 3 minutes to go because we took care of the ball. And we've lost a couple games because we haven't taken care of the ball. We also scrimmaged James Madison and LaSalle early, both good teams, and both were close games, and we didn't take care of the ball. 1-1, lost one. So we have to take care of the ball. That'll define us. To me, Warren Messiah need to help us, and they can as four men that can rebound it, that can score around the rim, and then have to also take care of the ball, which we haven't done from that position.
Yeah, I guess as you move forward, right, into the stretch of the next couple weeks, you've got still a pretty loaded up schedule. I mean, UMass is coming in, South Dakota State, who's always got that region has a pretty decent program all the time. What are you looking for? Is it holding onto the ball and taking care of it that's going to be sort of the charter here, or what do you want to see out of this team as a whole in the next couple of weeks before you get into conference play?
Yeah, I mean, globally, it's ball security, right? We've got, starting with home game against Morgan State, and then you get into South Dakota State's picked to win their league, and UMass is a Final Four coach, and then Bryant, and congrats to Coach Martelli on getting that job. We know Bryant's good enough to win their league. They've got two guys that are, in my opinion, first team all CAA performers. So for us, can we take care of the ball better? And the next piece will be, we have a physical group with good size. We've got to finish better. Are we getting the right type of shots within 8 feet of the basket? We're getting the right amount of them, but are we finishing them? And we got to make free throws better. I mean, we lose by 16 to Houston. We miss 15 foul shots. I'm not expecting to miss all 15, but if you make 8 or 9 of those, we're probably still getting beat, but it's a little bit different feel coming down the last 5 minutes.
How did your neutral site game with Bryant come about too? For those that don't know that are listening, this is it's going to be at UBS Arena, brand spanking new, and on Long Island. How did this come about?
Yeah, look, I think both Bryant and us are in the same boat, right? We were in the middle. They're supposed to return the game to us. We both have a hard time finding games. That's why we ended up taking the game late last year. We went from Chicago to Smithfield, Rhode Island. Not an easy trip that time of year. And but we also both you're looking for, these are the kind of games you get. We've played these type of games at Bryant, Liberties, Vermont, Penn, Greensboro, South Dakota State. Because of what I touched on earlier, there's some other teams within a couple hour direction, south and north, that don't want to play. And I think what happens is you end up playing teams that are actually better than teams that are in a bigger conference. That's the reality. But the average probably fan doesn't know that. So Brian and I were looking. It's right up the road for both of us. It'll be a good day of basketball. It's a hard game, but certainly, like I said, to me, trying to get ready for the top of our league, that team will be a good measuring stick for where we're at.
Will you be getting the guys any bagels after the game, or before the game, for that matter?
Yeah, I think we're gonna get maybe everything, a couple everything bagels, Asagio cheese, chocolate chip. That would be good,
I'll hand deliver them because I'm stamping this as my unofficial game of the year because Bryant alumni, Coach Skerry and Towson are one of my favorite programs that have been on the podcast, and I'm an Islanders fan, and it's right around the corner from my house. So this is a win-win.
That's a great place, right? I'm excited to play in that building. I've heard nothing but good things about it. Obviously, we get up there, we always see some of the NHL teams and the G League teams when we're up there playing Hofstra, but it'll be exciting to play in that building. And it's always those neutral opportunities those are good experiences for our guys.
That's going to be a fun one. It's going to be good. As we wrap up, I mean, one of the most philanthropic people across the sport, we got to talk about, what you have cooking and some of the endeavors that you have that you want to highlight heading into the holiday season.
Yeah, we should have we just had a big conference call yesterday with Autism Speak. So by the first week of December, we're going to pump out, and we'll need you guys' help on when Autism Awareness Weekend will be in college basketball. And we're kind of waiting on the Women's Basketball Coaches Association too. So we're trying to kind of combine and do some things with that. And, I've been proud. Our guys do a good job, as does our athletic department, making sure that we historically are, as a department in men's basketball, top 10 in community service hours. So we get a good group of guys to represent that. And that's important, right? It's there's, as much as we're complaining about taking care of the ball or finishing, where we get to do this, and these guys are on scholarship, and it's as hard as sometimes we make it seem to be as coaches. We're pretty lucky that we're all get to be involved with this great game.
I think last year you had said, that you would love if there was a tournament, basically, that a couple of college basketball coaches get involved and things like that. That's still the goal, that, you get a charitable sort of MTE, and you get the Bryants of the world, and you get sort of those smaller schools involved, or, are you?
Well, that'll be interesting now with the
there.
NIT, right? The postseason deal here with it's really going to potentially affect some teams at our level is hopefully ADs and conference offices and even presidents will say, hey, we got to, whether it's the Gazelle Groups tournament, we're going to commit to those. When schools like Bryant and Towson make the playoffs in football, it's a big accomplishment, but you pay to play in those. Not everyone knows that, right? They pay to play in those NCAA games. The NCAA doesn't cover anything, so it's not like we're playing. If Bryant makes the football playoffs, that they're playing Alabama in the first round, right, in a 1-16 game. So why not take the Bryants of the world, or the Vermonts, or the Drexels, and why wouldn't we want to, for those teams that have 20 win seasons, why wouldn't we want to have a tournament that we do it in football? Why wouldn't we want to do it in basketball? I think that's a question. I've pretty much said how I feel. That's more of a question for people that have the ability to make that happen. It comes down to finances, right? But basketball, men's basketball, is, for most of us, the only potential revenue producing sport on our campus. So if you don't, I don't know many businesses, if you don't invest in them, that you can expect a return. I could be wrong. I obviously welcome the opportunity to be educated on that. I just think that's always something that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, from the fan perspective, I don't think a lot of people think of it on that business side, but it's so important, especially in your position, where it's like, we're not just an athletic department, we're an entertainment business. So how do you make it entertaining, but also make it a profitable business standpoint as well?
Yeah, that's fact. I think people that are in decision-making positions, they understand that they're smart people. Whether or not they want to communicate that to everyone is sometimes a different deal. We all know what we sign up for, men's basketball. You got to get to the NCAA tournament. So it's we don't have, but you don't get that by going 6-5 and going to a bowl game. It's just a different deal. But I always say, just like we tell our players, your actions got to meet your goals. I think a lot of programs in basketball need to ask themselves those same questions, and are they doing that?
Well, we're looking forward to seeing all the great things you guys do this year. What are you looking forward to most, Coach? And just starting full steam ahead this year. What's on your mind?
Well, I hope we're in long-term hope we're in a position like we've been, one that we can get healthy and get all our available bodies, so that, I always say, hey, look, we want to have a, great year, and you want to be in a war and 4 minutes to go, and, hope for some good fortune. I believe our group is capable of getting in that position. Right now it's like, we got 9 guys. So now it's like, hey, everyone's got to take on some strain right now and play a little better and understand different roles a little bit better against some good opponents. And then hopefully that stabilizes as we get some as we get some guys back. Yeah, I'd like to be up in Long Island and December 16th or 17th, whatever day it is, and win and have a nice turkey with maybe a little Munster cheese and lettuce, tomato, and that would be great.
It does sound delicious. I got to eat now. Wow, I was very hungry.
It is lunchtime. But no, Coach, it's not lunchtime. It's only 10:30. I guess second breakfast, right? But Coach Skerry, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much. We're looking forward to seeing you at the games, and obviously rooting for you. Except that Bryant game will remain neutral. But hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, and always thank you for the time.
I appreciate you guys being honest about that. I would have thought differently if you weren't rooting for that great Bulldog program. And yeah, you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Keep up the tremendous work.